Hi, I'm Dr. Sebastian Gonzalez from Performance-Based Sports Care again here in Huntington Beach. We are doing another part on one of the research articles which I've been reading. This one is the effects of long-term isometric training on core torso stiffness. So I'll bring it up here. This was from 2015, and you guys can reference this and just go online. This was from the Journal on Strength Conditioning Research. It's one I typically get a lot of research from. I think there's some interesting stuff in there. So this one I thought was really cool in regards to thinking about how to program well for people with back conditions and lower extremity conditions, or anyone who wants to increase the amount of power that they have on their lifts. So this one compared basically two different types of core training programs. One is isometric and the other one is the dynamic. Now isometric, if you don't know what isometric means, it basically means non-movement. It's a holding position. If we're going to do an isometric bicep curl, we go here, and so imagine I'm holding a 50-pound weight or something like that, and I'm holding this position, I'm not losing it. So the muscle's still doing work, it's holding position, but actually the joints are in a very safe position because they're not really going through a lot of movement. Isometric contractions are actually, they're known as some of the safer ones, and a lot of times through even ACL or knee rehab, they'll add isometric contractions first. So the types of exercises they used for an isometric versus dynamic was, I'll bring these up right here. We had plank, bird dog, side plank, torsional buttress, pull-off press, suitcase holds during the pot, things of that nature. So I'll bring this up here so you can check again. And go ahead and read that off. Notice that this is a 6-week study, I believe. They had it in frequency of 4 times a week for the first week, 7 times for the second week, and I think they dropped down to 4 again. But it's interesting to see also how frequently they do this kind of stuff. The dynamic exercise protocol was these, and it was things like curls, Russian twist, or sit-ups. What else do we have? I think it was side curls. What else do we have? Superman twitch, lateral medicine ball throw. So it looked like more so like a medicine ball type of routine, which I don't think these are bad, but it's just interesting to see how differently they performed in this study. So again, we're looking to see if the trunk became stiff, or the reasons for this was that they mentioned there's a better ability to transfer load. Also, let's see, where do we go here? So increased core stiffness enhances load-bearing ability of the spine. It arrests painful vertebral micro-movements, which again can cause injury. It also enhances ballistic distal limb movements. So that's going to be your lifts, power lifts, even things like squatting, all the type of stuff. It has to do with, can you control your limbs and stack things well and transfer power. So the difference was pretty good. And again, a 6-week study. They only had 3 groups. They had a dynamic group, an isometric group, and a control group which didn't do anything. The results suggested that isometric training is superior to dynamic training for enhancing torso stiffness. Enhanced torso stiffness allows, again, greater allows the spine to bear greater loads, express greater distal limb athleticism. So it's definitely nice to see that this stuff worked. They did see that the comments after with the participants, they did say that both groups, dynamic and isometric, they said they can control their limbs better. So, and here I made a note to myself that we can't refute the mental or placebo effect of them either. So a lot of times when you just add something dynamic or isometric, it's going to be helpful for the person's mental well-being. In regards to practical application, this is how we're going to add this into our clinic. They made a point that, so a lot of the coaches will say that compound load or compound lifts will be enough to stimulate the core. That's going to be things like squat and deadlifting, which I do love: squats, deadlifting, cleans, snatches, and so on. But is it enough to protect the person in regards to creating that stiffness? And the author in this said no. They said that they like the complex lifts, which I like them as well, but the problem was that they didn't create 3-dimensional spinal stability. And what they mean by 3-dimensional is the The trunk works in 3 planes, so forward, backwards, side to side, and then rotation this way. So they're saying that it provided a lot of stabilization in regards to the sagittal plane, which is forward, backwards. But when we equate this to an actual sport, we're talking about, like, say, baseball, change direction with soccer, football, whatever it might be, you then use the frontal plane and rotation a lot as well. So training the athlete only for sagittal plane core stiffness is a little bit lacking, at least in my opinion, and in the authors. So a lot of if you're wondering why this is even correlating to knee injuries or lower extremity types of conditions, is a lot of the predictive measures for knee injuries is decreased frontal plane this way control. Does the athlete have hip drop? Can they control their trunk while they're changing direction this way? So I think it's important to add. We have here, a lot of the people do isometric stabilization stuff in the beginning, and then we eventually add load-bearing and complex lifts later. This author suggests that 15 to 45 minutes of isometric training, when in use conjunction with a strength training program, creates the core stability necessary to allow the athlete to fully express their athleticism. So I think this is a great study. Again, it's called Effects of Long-Term Isometric Training in Core Trunk Stiffness. It is by Benjamin Lee and Stuart McGill. So check this one out. It's from 2015. If you have any questions for me or for us here, you can contact us on p2sportscare.com, or you can go on to our podcast. It's on iTunes. It's performance-based sports care, and again, this is all intended to be educational. I'm not bashing anybody's types of programming, but this is meant for you guys to be able to talk to your strength coach, your healthcare provider, your PT, your doc, whatever it might be, better, and be able to understand what their thought process is on your types of conditioning and rehab. So, hope this is helpful, and again, I'm Sebastian Gonzalez. Take care.